Hello, this is W.Berry, the Regional Emergency Coordinator for the state of Vermont. I'm here today to provide an update to our immediate and long-term recovery efforts from the recent winter ice storm. This briefing is provided for the Burlington County Mayor's Office, the Vermont Governor's Office, the FEMA Director, and Secretary of Homeland Security. I want to highlight up front that our recovery plan has been drafted and builds off the NIMS plan outlined in last week's briefing. With the same consistency, our recovery plan is organized under subsections detailing actions for the operations, the planning, the logistics, and the finance divisions. Several references for us here, and I'll kind of go down the line. Vermont Statute Title 20, Chapter 1 for Emergency Management applies. DHS National Disaster Recovery Framework, HSPD 5, Management of Domestic Incidents, and Presidential Policy Directive PD8, along with FEMA guidance. Essentially, our recovery efforts are community-driven processes requiring the involvement of everyone working collectively. And our guidelines follow the National Disaster Recovery Framework and sets forth effective recovery structures that are going to allow us to operate collaboratively and restore the fabric of the community. And this means economic, housing, health, social, environmental, all of it as part of our focus. Now, our recovery efforts start by addressing the immediate needs of the community. Communication has been a priority in accessing and directing resources appropriately. And early in the week, the Public Information Officer issued a press release that focused on food and goods distribution and also sought donations from the community, among other things. But our immediate recovery focused on rebuilding the power grid, hazard mitigation, cleanup, rebuilding infrastructure, getting temporary shelters set up for impacted residents, restoring law and order, getting local businesses up and running. And we're currently looking at large home repair costs and a shortage of certain commodities. The estimated damage to homes, cars, and property is totaling approximately $790 million. As such, various funding sources are being explored to support the long-term recovery effort. Briefly, Chittenden County is experiencing the following challenges, and I'll just go down the line for you. We've got 36 admitted to the hospital, 12 dead, which are tough numbers. Millions lost in the private sector, depleted government budgets, families that are emptying out their savings for home repairs. We've got power lines that need to be rebuilt, and new standards being sought there. Communication systems that need to be assessed and possibly rebuilt. We got VTrans trucks that are going to need replacement. Some may be repaired, but we're going to need to replace a lot of those. Thousands of lost trees. Our apple, milk, and syrup industries have taken a large hit. Wildlife is an issue. Without food and without shelter. Public workers and volunteers are under stress. And there's worry about PTSD next year should another storm hit. And our citizens could be impacted there too. We've got about 535,200 about insurance claims. And the economic input will shrink by, or output will shrink by about 1.5%, we're estimating. Construction and the power industry will also take an economic hit. There's just some significant issues we are facing with, and the recovery plan takes all of these into account. The citizens are seeing the short-term impact right now, and that's where we need to start our efforts. And here's some of the highlights for that. I want to restore 400,000 homes to power, obviously. We need to clear all roads and clear debris in the neighborhoods. We're reopening transportation hubs. These are airports, ferries, or trains. We need to restore law and order in our communities. We have too many reports of robberies, burglaries, prostitution, fraud, drugs, and violence. I could go on. The National Guard is going to continue to support us for now. We are seeking and dispersing donations, contributions, and especially cash. There shouldn't be a shortage of cash in the community. We're distributing generators, gasoline blankets, ice salt, canned food. We're going to set up temporary housing for workers and for residents. These are simply some short-range recovery efforts. And as I discussed up front, we're aiming higher than simply clearing debris and rebuilding our homes and businesses. The strategic recovery plan I've prepared focuses on the physical and mental well-being of our citizens and the restoration of systems that promote economic stability, education, affordable and accessible housing, and others contributing to the goal of resilient communities. So that's where we're trying to go here. For example, we're not simply restoring our infrastructure, right? We are co-locating infrastructure systems in accordance with Lifeline systems planning, and you'll see that in the plan. We're going to aggressively treat environmental concerns from lost trees and endangered wildlife. We'll expedite funds into our largest economic engines, those dairy, syrup, and apple farms. We're going to modernize our power lines against future storms, and we're going to be better prepared. We will do this, the same things with our building codes. We're going to develop interagency plans for disaster response. And right now we're drafting and conducting exercises. I want to do more of that, and we want to create a regional, multi-jurisdictional local hazard mitigation plan that'll focus on collaboration for future disaster recovery. And in that line, communication will be key and will involve engagement between government, non-government organizations, private industry, community, and media. We're going to leverage radio, television, and online resources to deliver a constant update on recovery efforts. We're going to champion efforts, celebrate our wins, and reassure Vermonters. This is all about community spirit and making Chittenden County the place we all want to live. No one should be made to suffer, right? We are going to tap every funding source from EMAC, FEMA, and Congress and move forward towards a full community recovery. We will exercise some patience, and we're going to recover smartly. But let us not be bogged down in bureaucracy. We owe our citizens more than that. In conclusion, please review the recovery plan I've prepared, and I welcome your feedback and suggestions. The goal is common involvement of everyone within the community, the federal departments, businesses, and local agencies. We're looking to restore, develop, and revitalize Chittenden County, Burlington region, into a resilient community. Everyone listening to this is a leader in the effort, right? And leadership will drive successful transformation. We know that, and I'm confident that we can do such. As always, I appreciate your time and attention, and wish you all the best as we collectively move forward in this recovery challenge. Lastly, please stay in touch and communicate any challenges you are seeing out there. And thank you once again.